Salutations and welcome to the New Times Weekly Review, where we present to you a recap of this week. Have you ever wondered how addiction affects one's life and how one ever gets out of it? Well, stay tuned for an interview that explains it all at the end.
Kigali traders are turning away from mobile money payment. Know why? Traders have expressed dissatisfaction with the approach taken regarding the commission imposed for payments received via MomoPay codes, with some refusing to accept payment through the channel. Apparently, this mode of payment causes losses to their businesses. Following mobile money Rwanda Limited's charges against traders, some decided to pass the cost on to customers, while others decided to only accept cash. MTN Rwanda previously defended the move, claiming that prior to the COVID-19 outbreak, the fee was 1% before being scrapped as part of measures to support uptake during the COVID-19 pandemic.
A new mobile app to support cancer patients. A new mobile application named Join has been launched on Friday, October 8th to support healthcare providers in cancer management, in particular breast cancer and cervical cancer. This app is designed to support communication and information sharing. The app is expected to run for 2 years and is funded by Japan International Cooperation Agency and will be implemented by ALM in partnership with C or CAN in 5 referral hospitals in Rwanda. The reason for this app intends to consolidate the patient's information, which will save time for both the patient and clinical staff.
Young Rwanda nominated for Continental Award. Divine Ingabire, the founder of Aimata, a youth-led organization working to end period poverty and stigma in Rwandan schools, has been nominated for Africtivist Civic Action Prize 2021. The Africtivist Civic Action Prize is an initiative dedicated to the youth of Africa's 54 countries, aged 40 and under, who have the greatest projects with a significant social impact in their respective countries. Ingabire founded Aimata in 2019 after graduating with a degree in finance from the Adventist University of Central Africa by raising funds through social media and various donations. Karekezi's new movie to feature in Francophone coproduction meeting. Capitaine Bae, a production of famous Rwandan filmmaker Joel Karekezi, is one of the 22 top projects selected for the upcoming 17th Francophone coproduction meeting, which will take place in Brussels, Belgium from November 10th to 12th. The annual event will finally take place in November after being postponed in 2020 due to the health crisis caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Participants will have one-on-one meetings with project leaders, participate in a video pitch session, meet with French language support donors, and attend various roundtables and conferences. Captain Bae, a 90-minute film set to be released in 2023, is based on a true narrative about what happened during the 1994 Tutsi genocide in Rwanda, where Captain Bae was dispatched as a UN observer.
Kenyan Olympian Jebetyrop founded at age 25. Agnes Jebetyrop has been founded in her home in Iten in western Kenya, a town renowned as a training base for distance runners. She was stabbed to death. Her husband Ibrahim Kichumba was named the prime suspect by the local police in their investigation, as it appeared that he called her parents crying. Jebetyrop was a Kenyan long-distance runner and world bronze medalist. She won 10,000 million bronze at both the 2017 and 2019 World Athletics Championships and won gold at the 2015 World Cross Country Championships. She smashed the women-only 10-kilometer world record in Germany as she beat Morocco's Asmaï Legzawi from 2002. President Uhuru Kenyatta urged authorities to speed up the investigation and arrest the suspect. May her soul rest in peace.
Welcome to the second segment of the weekly review. I am Joanne Babazi. Today in our studios, we have a guest who is going to take us through his journey of using drugs like marijuana until the process he had to quit. How did the drugs affect him, his relationship with the family, his academics, and all that.
So my name is Semi Gawagarire. I'm 22 years old and I'm the 7th son among 8 children. So I have my dad. I lost my mom in the last few years, like in 2000, 17. So yeah, now I'm a student. I have finished my high school, but actually I'm now working in a company which is called EMO, and yeah, actually I will continue my studies in university. I have studied mathematics, economics, and computer science in my high school. Actually, I started to use drugs in 2015, and I used them actually only in 1 year. I used them in a year, then I quit it. So the reason I used drugs, actually, it was peer pressure. After finishing my O level, my ordinary level, I went to another school. Actually, I used to study in Jima, a school of science. So the school had a good environment. But actually, when I shifted into another school, I found everything like new to me. I got new friends. Actually, from that time on, I started to use drugs, and the specific drugs I used to smoke cigarettes. I used to smoke marijuana, and actually, I even used to drink a lot of drugs. I drank beer, I drank liquors, so all those kinds of drugs I've used them. Addiction doesn't take too long. Actually, according to the type of drug you're using. For me, even according to the body of someone. Like for me, being addicted actually took me like 3 months. But actually for the first days, I met friends. Actually, I met friends, and we started they started to take me to use drugs, and those friends were so addicted. I just took them and bought for them. Then from that time, they started to share with me cigarettes. So I just consumed them because actually I didn't want them to deny me into their clique, into their group, because it was a whole group in high school, you know. So I just wanted to join that group. And from that time on, I started to use those drugs day by day. I started to do what it takes for me to keep being in that group. And like after like 2 months doing the same thing, you just find yourself actually, even when you have few money to take all the group together, you just you just sneak from them and go to search for them by yourself. Actually, like after 3 months, I started to be addicted to that extent. When I was in the class, the teacher being in front of me, like for 1 hour, I couldn't wait for him to finish an hour actually explaining his course. So an hour after an hour, I started to sweat in my arms. I started to feel like actually I need something to keep me going on. So like after 3 months, trying to actually to do it like any other person, thought that actually I could control myself. Like after those 3 months, I was addicted. Actually, your manners truly change. Like at the time you have consumed them, you don't want any other company. Actually, you think that you're going to fix any problem by yourself, even though you just want to be alone, especially in marijuana. So after consuming it, you just keep quiet. Actually, you could be in the group of different people who are happy, and you're just quiet. They call it meditation, and you're just meditating on them. Yeah, not saying any word. So the first thing is just loneliness, and after like for example, if you've consumed like marijuana and it finished its work into your body, so from that time you just even have to, like for example, as I told you before, you can move from where we are to several miles looking for someone who's going to give you a sample of cigarettes. So another issue is that you just even change your characters. You do things which are abnormal that other people treat.
Like what?
Like for example, like it's abnormal for someone to move several miles but walking on his own. But like for example, if you're searching for someone who's going to share you a piece of it at the time you want it, so you can move those several miles, and you actually even you don't have cleanness. You're not clean. You don't wash your clothes. Actually, drugs affect you. Actually, it's not even something that you could describe, because once you have tested something, even when you don't want to quit, actually the thought keep resurrecting. So the drugs affected me in my studies. Like for example, I finished my high school in this last year, and my colleagues whom we used to study at that very time, they have already finished. They are in second year of university. Others are studying abroad. So actually you could see them, you could watch them doing their work. So first of all, you just see the people whom you were in the same race of life, in the same journey of life, actually moving forward from you. My relationship also was affected because you no longer live like any other human. Actually, you're no longer controlled by yourself. The drugs will control you. Any person who tries to tell you that what you're doing is not true, you just move from them. Just know they don't know what I'm going through. They don't know how high I'm getting after using them. So the relationship with my family was affected. Actually, even my mom, before she passed away, actually she was the person whom I could go for every time I had a problem. But once I started to consume them, I didn't want her to tell me anything. So you started to move from the people who used to encourage you and start to go with the groups which are infected, if I could say. So some of the challenges I faced, actually the first challenge is to move on from the group you used to live in. So, like for example, you used to have friends, and as long as you decide to change, as long as you decide to move on and live like any other and quit consuming drugs, actually the friends are still there, and they still know you as they knew you from before you changed that mentality. So the first challenge is the group. The group will always be there, and will always actually want you to keep being there and keep clinging with them. So the challenge is the people whom you used to live with and the people actually whom you're going to. So actually you want to move from the people who consume drugs to people who doesn't consume them. So moving from the people who want you to be there and moving to the people who doesn't want you to go into them is something which is also being a challenge. There's this proverb in Kinyarwanda which says that whatever a man wants, actually milk is replaced by cigarette. So for anyone who wants drugs, actually I don't even know how you make your ways. You can even sneak out of the school at the time other people were sleeping in the dormitory. For you, you're not afraid of the nights, you're not afraid of anything. But actually, even my school didn't have a fence, so it was easy for me to sneak out of the school. So accessing the drugs was not a big deal for me. As long as you start consuming them, actually you start to know the link of the people whom you can go to. So you don't have a specific place from which you can go to search for them, but you know the people who are sending those drugs. Like for example, I could go into a bar then I could drink, then as long as I don't have money to pay, I could tell them, you just keep this phone, I will come to pick it as long as you bring the money. You don't call anyone because you don't even have that phone to call anyone. So you just go to look for those people, you know where they're working, you know where they hide them, so you just go to find them in the place where they used to sell them. The quantity a drug dealer consumes depend on his income. So for me, if I had a lot of money, I remember one time when I was at school, and I spent 2 weeks without going in the class, just consuming drugs until the 2 weeks were over. So it doesn't depend on the quantity and the specific quantity you have to consume. It depends on how much you have. Marijuana is not too costly. It's not too expensive. So for marijuana, you can even spend 1,000 a day, and that's three pieces of it. So they call them amabure. So to be like 3 amabures a day. So, but for drugs like liquors and beer, you can even spend like 10 as a student. It's too much. 10K to 3K. I mean to 30K. It's too much for the students. Drinking even those illegal liquors like kanyanga, things like that. The journey of quitting drugs, actually, I can't even say that. Actually, yeah, you've said it because it's a journey. Yeah, it's a journey because you can't say that you've quitted something completely. Actually, the thought can resurrect, but you say that I've decided this issue. So I'm not going back to them. I know the causes they have made, but when I started to quit, it was in 2017, 2018, a year after a year being addicted to drugs. So I got the support from my parents, and actually I didn't know they were supporting me. I thought they were punishing me. So they took me to a rehabilitation center. Actually, I spent a year there, and that rehab was Iwawa. Most of the people knows that very place. So even they paid so much money because Iwawa, if you go there, like your parents willing you to go there, you have to pay for it. So they paid that money for me to go there. So like my parents took me to the rehabilitation center of Iwawa, and I spent the whole year being trained and being like treated to become a normal person. So I spent the whole year, but before that whole year, even I spent a month into transit center. In that rehab, actually they give you the first thing they give you is time to spend without consuming drugs. So it was good for me to spend a whole year without consuming something, because for the first days you just feel like starving, you just feel like because you need those drugs, but as days pass by, you just feel like, okay, I'm becoming a normal person. So the first treatment they give you is the time you spend without consuming any drug. So the other services they gave you, the psychologist, actually, who just talk to you, who just actually give you some mental health, mental treatments. So the psychologist actually did a great service for me, because actually they told me, actually they showed me how I could change. It is possible for me to change, and actually they show you what was ahead of me after leaving the rehab. So I came out of the rehab knowing what was going to happen to me. After leaving the rehab, I completely quit. So after leaving the rehab, actually I lost my mom. Then that also brought me to an idea of thinking about myself and realized that actually she passed away without seeing me changing. So actually I should change. I should change actually. Even though she won't be looking at me, actually I will feel like she's proud of the man I'm becoming. So even that became a good thing for me to make a decision, even to everyone who would come to me saying, actually, man, you don't have to change. Actually, you don't have to show your parents that they did a great job. So everyone who was saying all those stuff, I just say, you don't know anything about me. I didn't continue with my group. Even right now, I don't know where they are. But actually, you can pass by them, and every time they see you, they saw that actually there's a change. Most of you think actually you've joined an army because of how disciplined you've become. But I didn't continue with my group. And I actually, it's by default. You just find new friends as long as you've changed your characters. For me, the message I would give to the youth who are still struggling with drug addiction is that actually, for me, I believe that life is something which is worthless. And actually, even though the people who consume drugs think that actually they couldn't contribute anything to their community, but I believe that they have so much we need from them. They have poems which they could recite, and drugs won't let them do. They have paintings which they doesn't need any motivation to make them do. So they can be good students too. They can even help their parents, even though they can't do great things like building towers. They can help their siblings. So all I need to tell the youth who are consuming drugs is that we need them. We need them, and actually to move from something which is controlling you, you need to change your schedule. I read books most of the times. I read books, and I pray. Actually, because I believe that praying is something which will specify the type of friends which will come to you. Because even though you can be looking for friends who are not consuming drugs, you can live in them, but as long as you don't have courage, you could find yourself going back to drugs. Actually, I do poetry as a hobby, but I would like to find a way to make it as a profession. So right now I'm doing it as a hobby. Look at that parrot in the sky, the way it cares about nothing as it flies. Wind from east blow it so fine. Look, those mentalities I had, how hardly they collapsed. Like a parrot in the sky, like a hot air balloon in the sky. You should fly and be free. You should try and set me free. You're no longer in that captivity. My cage is now too small. So fly, parrot, fly.
You've heard it from him. Many parents, guardians, teachers, and whoever that has youth or teenagers or children, please take note that you need to watch their behavior, because our guest has told us that behavior changes when someone starts using drugs. Do not stay quiet when some of these issues arise. Please make sure you help them find the necessary solution and support. Thank you. Until next time. Bye.
Thank you for staying up to the end. For such stories and more, please visit our website. It's the New Times Rwanda on YouTube or any other social media. Thank you.